Okay. All right, ladies, we're recording. So welcome to our webinar on 10 signs that you need a detox. And Sally and I are so looking forward to teaching you a little bit about detoxing and why it might be important. So we just thought we'd introduce ourselves for those of you who don't know us. I know at least 3 of you know me, but for Lisa's sake, I'm a functional medicine health coach, and I started in nutrition about 4 years ago, relatively soon after a friend of mine died of breast cancer. And over that period, I was looking for a new purpose in life and looking for something interesting to do. And nutrition was it, because I'd been learning so much, trying to support my friend. And really, I was looking for answers about how can one reverse disease such as cancer using nutrition. And it's taken me a little bit of time, but I've really found the answers now in something called functional medicine. And it's a really holistic approach to health, a whole body approach that treats the patient and not the symptoms. And I'm really enjoying what we're learning at the moment. And this is how I met Sally and a bunch of other coaches that we've done detoxes with before. So Sally, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Sally. I'm also a certified health coach. And as Mireille just said, we were actually accountability buddies at the School of Applied Functional Medicine. And we've, ever since then, we've been doing bits and bobs together. So it's a joy to be here again with you, Mireille. I started my journey into nutrition and health also quite a while back, mainly because I have been suffering quite a bit with, hormonal issues, with heavy periods, with feeling tired and exhausted. And I was really keen to find out why that was happening, because I thought it can't be normal that at the age of 38, I was bleeding I felt like I was bleeding out every month and I was exhausted. So I started to study nutrition and health and looked into hormone health. And I would now call myself actually a women's health advocate. I just really want to go out there and help all these women who struggle, especially in those perimenopausal years, with feeling unwell and being depressed and sad, because nobody needs to feel that way or should feel that way. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So this question, why detoxing is important, this is probably why you guys all came and why you guys want to find out more about this topic. It is really important because we are constantly surrounded by, we call it like the 3 pillars of doom, which is toxins, crap food, and stress. And these 3 pillars put a lot of burden on our system. Would we be living in a perfectly healthy world without stress, with natural food in abundance, with no toxins, we probably wouldn't need to have a detox, because our body is perfectly capable of detoxing. It does it daily, right? You go to the toilet, you've done a little detox. You sweat, you've done a little detox. But we don't live in that world. We live in a different world today. We are surrounded by toxins in our food, in our homes, possibly in our, beauty products we use. Food, we all know that we probably eat too much crappy food here and there. And then the stress, super underestimated, but I believe super, super important, especially with the corona crisis that's just happening in everyone's lives. We've all suffered from it, some more than others, some less. We've all had moments where we thought, felt sad, depressed, afraid, and all these symptoms, these feelings of stress affect our body and just fill up, like Mireille will tell you, about the bucket of toxins.
Yeah, I use this analogy because I think we're all born with the bucket, and the size of the bucket really is kind of governed by our genes. So if you have relatively good genes, you get born with a big bucket, I say. And if you have pretty crappy genes, you get born with a small bucket. And this bucket we take with us through life, and all sorts of events, illnesses, traumatic events, different kinds of things, the medication that we're on, they just start filling up the bucket. And when we get to a certain age, what we think is getting old, our bucket starts to overflow. And so we're starting to experience signs and symptoms, what we might think as aging, but it's really just an overflowing bucket. And so my view is that we need to keep this bucket as empty as possible, and that's what the importance of detoxing is all about. And as Sally says, we've been confronted with toxins in all aspects of our life, whether it's not just food, it's not just the air we breathe in or the water that we're drinking or the chemicals that we're using in our cleaning products or on our bodies, but food is a highly underestimated toxin, so to say. Even people that think they might be eating healthy, they could be being confronted with certain food sensitivities that they're not even aware of. So that we'll be talking about a little bit later. But again, in this entire corona situation that we're experiencing, I think any of the symptoms that we might be having is just sort of compounded by this kind of situation where we're not feeling that much in control of any of our healthy habits at this point in time. So we're going to go through a couple of signs. And this is by no means all encompassing. I think these are just sort of the big ones that most people are experiencing. And I'll start with the first one. I mean, some of you joined my recent Spring Healthy Habits Challenge, and sugar was one of the biggest ones that people were struggling to get rid of. And it's clear that many of us are struggling with cravings for sugar. And a craving for sugar is not just talking about imbalance of blood sugar or lack of control of blood sugar, but there could be many different things that are pointing to sugar cravings, whether it be a lack of nutrients. It could be related to yeast infections. So there are a number of different things, and one of them obviously is just saying that your body is out of balance and could be needing a detox.
Yeah, Mireille, exactly. And, all these women talking about PMS all the time. And, the press tells you it's totally normal. You crave, that you want to crave chocolate and sweets during that time. But actually, it isn't. It is a sign. It's your body telling you that something is out of whack. So it's not a given that we should all eat chocolate while we have PMS. Actually, PMS shouldn't anyways happen. So.
Sally, are you able to admit Colleen? I'm struggling with my mouse, as I say.
Okay. No, I don't see anywhere that somebody wants to go in, actually. I'm sorry.
Go to participants. I don't know why my mouse has just lost usability. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's done.
All right, let's see if I can go back. Oh boy. No, I don't know how to get rid of this. There we go. All right, so yeah, we've spoken about sugar cravings and digestive distress now. So digestive distress, I think there are a lot of people out there, not only women, who are suffering from gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or a combination of all of that. So this is become, I think, for a lot of people, just their normal. And I think that's quite dangerous, because what is normal for people nowadays, and what is correct? So if you're not having bowel movements at least once a day, and we have a whole Bristol stool chart that we share with clients in terms of what your stool should be looking like, whether it's a different color or whether it sinks or floats. These are the kinds of things that you can start becoming aware of in terms of bowel movements. But digestive distress is something that too many people are complaining about. Skin. And skin is the largest organ in our body. So we often say in the functional medicine world that the skin is like a giant mouth. And also we say that the skin is a mirror of your gut. So anything that expresses itself on your skin, whether it be acne or rashes, eczema, dry skin even, it's really just a sign of something that's amiss in your gut. So yeah, this is where we start when doing a detox. It's really trying to help rebalance bacteria in your gut and anything else that might be Fatigue, another one that I think we as moms are just taking as a given, and just living with as normal. But I think a lot of people have said to me, in fact, a lot of the people that I've interviewed in my series have said that they didn't realize how tired they were until they stopped feeling tired. So yeah, this is one thing to look out for. Joint pain, also something that a lot of people are saying this is just down to old age. My joints are no longer as malleable or flexible as I was before, or I suffer from, occasional joint pain. That's not a sign of aging. That's really a sign of your bucket getting full and inflammation in the body.
Yeah. Struggling with weight. This might be actually one of the reasons why some of you are here today, right? You feel there's a little muffin top growing around your mid-waist, or you've had too many glasses of wine or cookies during the Corona crisis, and that's totally fine. I think this in itself is already a good reason to say, let's maybe step away and cut out some of those foods for a while. But it can also clearly indicate an overload of toxins in your system. I have clients who desperately want to lose weight, and some of them literally stop eating completely, but still they are unable to lose the weight because they have other toxins that are, it might be stress, it might be environmental toxins that are overloading their system. And in that case, the body will not let go of the weight. So definitely one to look out for. Hormones. As you now know, this is one of my favorite topics. So if you guys experience any funny periods, irregular periods, major mood swings, headaches around your time of your period, hot flashes, all these shouldn't really be happening. And with a detox, we can try to find and balance them out a little bit. Your sleep is out of order. Well, yeah, especially when your sleep is out of order. I just had to look closely if I was reading it correctly. How many of us wake up in the middle of the night and we can't fall asleep again? Usually maybe around 3-4 o'clock, which in our language world we call the liver hour, which is a time when our liver is working. And if the liver is too busy because there's just too much in the bucket the liver needs to clear out, then it'll wake us up and we have a hard time falling back asleep. So a clear indication that maybe we should try and help our body detox some of those toxins. Same for feeling depressed or anxious, especially at the moment. I think we could probably all say that we have these moments when we do feel depressed and anxious, and it could definitely also be an indication that there's some inflammation going on, especially now as we know that the gut and the brain are connected, and that could indicate that there is something going on in our gut that we need to work on. And basically just feeling foggy. Where did I leave my car keys? Do I have to go food shopping today? Just having this feeling of cotton wool in your head, which can also be linked to hormonal issues for sure, should maybe point you in the direction of thinking of doing a little detox.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Sally, but I think I have at least 3 on that list.
I'm probably more. I beat you. I beat you.
We could probably do a poll. If you have at least one of these symptoms, you could probably raise your hand in the chat box. I think you can do that, and then we can see. But I think everybody has at least one of these signs or symptoms. So the question is, what do we do if we have any of these signs and symptoms? Well, the one thing that we could certainly do is start incorporating foods that are helping our body detox. So we've put together a little list here. Also, by no means a comprehensive list, but definitely some of the big hitters in terms of foods that are really help with detoxing. The ones that stand out most for me are the cruciferous vegetables. We were also talking about allium vegetables, which are your sulfurous vegetables like garlic or onions. But things like green tea or dandelion tea, or at this time of season, stinging nettle tea, these bitter kinds of herbs are very useful for detoxing. But any leafy greens with the amount of phytonutrients is going to be helping up regulate your detoxification systems.
What else is on the list? Yeah, then the lemon zest. I mean, you guys have probably heard of this, old-fashioned lemon water in the morning, which is something that I do regularly, and which is actually quite tasty because it kickstarts your metabolism and it helps to detox.
Yeah, quite frankly, I can't drink water now without lemon anymore. It tastes kind of flat to me, but yeah, that's one of my regulars as well. Especially after waking up after your fasting time overnight, definitely to fill up on some lemon water, warm lemon water is a good habit.
And then I think a really good one here is berries. I mean, who doesn't like blueberries and raspberries? And especially now we have all the nice strawberries out there. So that's a good one. Nuts and seeds, always good on salad.
And the bone broth, certainly for gut health. They're assisting the lining of the mucus layer in your digestive system. So, but is just incorporating these foods enough? And the reason that we thought we would do this educational webinar is because we think it's just not well known enough that we really should be doing a detox on a regular basis, because it isn't just enough to be eating healthy foods on a regular basis. And we know that probably 99% of us are not even doing that all of the time. I mean, even you and I, Sally, as health coaches, are not 100% good on our diets, right? On what we should be doing and what even we know our bodies can handle. So, I mean, I'm a classic example. The last few weeks, my husband loves baking, and I shared a picture with Sally just the other day. He's been baking these, what we call here the Laugengipfel. It's sort of like a pretzel bread, but made into a croissant form. And if he's baked them, I just feel it really hard to say no, especially since it's like his very special Sunday breakfast. And he made it Saturday and Sunday this weekend. So I'm already feeling the symptoms of hay fever coming back just from these 2 days of not sticking to my gluten-free diet. But so getting back to it, we don't believe that just eating healthily is enough. We've got to ask ourselves, what is healthy look like for you as an individual? There are a number of things that we really need to be considering. And in the functional medicine approach, we have something called the 5R program. And the very first R is something called remove. And that is really identifying anything in your environment, in your lifestyle, that is burdening your body. So this might be food. Very often it is very many food sensitivities that we need to be removing, but it's also things like thoughts, toxic thoughts, stress, all sorts of things that are just not doing us any good. And so this is the idea that we've come up with for the summer detox program. Sally, maybe you want to talk about a little bit about what we did in January for.
Yes. So in January, Mireille, myself, and 2 other coaches ran a German program. It was about a 3-week elimination diet / detox program. And people were super enthused while we were doing it, but especially afterwards, because they actually felt their bodies feeling much better in the end. So they all started with little ailments here and there, aches, pains, digestive issues. And after those 3 weeks with us, they were able to tell us that they felt better and a lot of their symptoms had disappeared. And that brought us to the idea, why not do something similar to a broader audience, in this case, obviously an English-speaking audience, and do it during the change of the season, because this is really, even in Ayurvedic cultures and all those Indian cultures, anyways, in old cultures where people used to do their detoxes, when the seasons change, it's always a good time. It's like a bit like spring cleaning your house. Why not spring clean your body and get it summer ready? So we put our heads together and thought about how we can wrap this up, how can we package this to make it interesting and effective and also fun for everybody. And we've developed a 3-week guided program. Guided literally means guided. You have Mireille and myself with you along the way every day. We have created a personal private Facebook group where all the members will join and where we'll be, you know, visiting and answering questions and sharing the whole experience with you, but also you guys with each other. As Mireille just said, we will be removing some foods from your diet during this process, which are known to be foods that are inflammatory. And you might experience a huge relief and you might experience feeling much better afterwards, which could tell you there are some food sensitivities that we've just uncovered. You'll definitely strengthen your immune system during the process, which I, again, cannot stress enough, especially right now with the coronavirus. This virus is here to stay, and the best thing we can do is get ready to fight it if it comes our way. So strengthen your immune system really should also actually be one top priority. You might be losing some weight, which is always a nice thing. And generally, you know, you come out, you'll be feeling this, I can assure you, you'll be feeling better in yourself and yeah, generally healthier, right, Mireille?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think the key parts of this detox program, and I think in one of my emails I was talking about detox or cleanse, and is there really a difference? And I think in the health arena, these words are used quite synonymously, and we were umming and ahhing whether to call this a cleanse program or detox program, but it really doesn't matter as long as you understand what we are trying to achieve. And so by removing most of the toxins that are entering our body on a daily basis and adding in some extra nutrients that we might be deficient in, we're already tipping the scales towards detoxifying the body. So we're not doing a high, let's say, a highly intense detox program where you're buying supplements that are really going to be pulling out toxins that are stored in your fat. But this is going to be automatically happening on a sort of organic basis in your body just by upregulating certain processes in your body and removing those burdens.
Yes, and again, like we mentioned earlier, there'll be a big focus also on mental well-being and stress relief, because as you saw in the beginning of the presentation, this is one of our pillars of, you know, toxicity in the body. And I guess this is what puts us apart a little bit from your standard detox program. So there will be a whole section on mindfulness and, you know, taking care of your body physically, looking at beauty products you use, introducing certain routines and rituals that can help your body from the outside in as well to detoxify, right? And also looking at detoxifying your mind. And I love that part of the program because I think it's overlooked many times.
Yeah, I think that's important to differentiate as well, because very many of these programs that you might be able to buy online as well don't address that mindset part or the emotional wellness part of detoxing. And it's just become more and more apparent for me as well through all of these interviews that I've been doing in my little project series, how key that entire mindset part is in terms of a healing journey for one as well. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to go through what's included in the summer detox program then, Sally?
Yes, so you'll definitely be receiving a very extensive guide, which will explain a little bit more into detail what is a detox, and it will also give you an outlined, you know, daily plan. So really you get a whole set of instructions. In addition to that, there'll be a delicious recipe guide, which will allow you to try and taste all sorts of new menus. Again, this is not a detox where we do fasting, so there won't be days where we only allow you to drink juice. No, you'll be able to eat all the time. There'll just be certain foods we take out for a while, but there'll still be delicious recipes. We will send you daily emails. So throughout the entire program, you have daily contact with either one of us. And yes, there'll be the private Facebook group, which I think might be one of the highlights of this program, because it'll be an interactive platform for the members as well as for the coaches to come and join you and see what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
So,
I think that whole thing about the group dynamic supporting change is very important, because I think I speak to so many different clients and people who have been on this healing journey in particular, and usually they're alone in this journey, and they might be the only person who's suffering in their family, and they're the only ones trying to make a change in their family. So it's so important to be able to group together with like-minded people who have similar goals to you, so that you don't feel alone. I think it's a real very useful support in terms of making those changes. Yeah. Right. So we really wanted to say thank you to everybody that made the time to come and join us today and learn a little bit about detoxing. We'll definitely be staying online to answer your questions, but we wanted to thank you guys that who made the time by offering you several bonuses. Anyone that joins the detox program will get lifelong access to this Facebook group. Sally and I plan to be doing these on a regular basis because we understand the benefits of doing a detox at least seasonally, or at least twice a year, in the first half and the second half of the year. So we will be offering this like we offer the Germans in the second half of the year. Anybody that joins tonight and up until midnight tomorrow night will be able to join at a very discounted price of 69 euros. That price will change at midnight. When midnight, 19th of May. Okay, it's going up to the original price of 109 euros. There will also be a prize draw for everyone that signs up. So we'll be putting everybody's names into a hat and drawing, and whoever's name comes out will get to pick to have a personal coaching session with either myself or Sally. And I think the nice bonus is that on any future detox program that we create, or because there are many different ways that people can be doing a detox, and so we'll be looking for feedback from all of you as well to create future programs. But as part of our thank you as well, we'll be offering you guys a 20% discount on any future program that we create. Sally, do you want to say anything else to that?
No, I think you covered the bonuses. Just to let you know, guys, the start date we haven't talked about yet will be the 1st of June. So just about over 2 weeks today. And again, we can't stress enough, if you haven't experienced it yet, but this is what we felt the German group really enjoyed, was being in a group of like-minded people, sharing the experience, maybe also a little tiny weeny bit the suffering when coffee wasn't allowed for a few days. So they didn't feel alone in that fact, because they knew there were a couple of other people who couldn't drink coffee for the next few days. So that then it makes it easier. Also, you get the support and also the accountability from us, from your colleagues, and you come out of there feeling, you feel a sense of community, and you might as well have finally reached some goals that you've been wanting to reach in terms of health and well-being for a while. So, yeah.
Good. So we're going to have, if anybody has questions, I think we're going to see if I can stop the share. All right, we're back, and I'm going to stop the recording now. I've got use of my mouse.